Welcome, everybody. This is Trisha Tamkin
and Jason Tebow
from Maury Centrals, and we would like to continue our previous discussion on the situation with LinkedIn and HighQ and how it relates to us in the recruiting industry.
When last we left our brave heroes, HighQ had won an injunction.
A preliminary injunction, which basically, for those of you, and I'm not a lawyer, neither is Jason, we don't have any kind of law degree, but a preliminary injunction is when the court says, well, no, we're not going to make any of these actions stop while we're making a determination, right? So essentially what had happened 2 years ago was LinkedIn had told HighQ, which is a company that goes out and it's a very interesting business model. They have an algorithm where they use public LinkedIn profiles and they sell a service back to companies, letting them know which employees have a higher likelihood of leaving their organization.
Now, it probably has things to do with everything from people in their departments leaving to how recently and what kind of changes they've made to their own profile. So, it's probably looking at a bunch of things. Of course, we don't know their proprietary algorithm either. But they were initially granted the ability to keep running their business, and LinkedIn was told that the profiles were considered public.
Right. So when LinkedIn filed for a preliminary injunction to make it so HighQ couldn't access any of this stuff, they said, no, we're not going to allow that. We're going to investigate. Any of you that have been involved in any kind of a court case knows they take years to get through. So here we are today on September 9th of 2019, and it came out in Reuters, you can see this article, that the preliminary injunction held. So there has been a judgment, and they have said the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has let the August 2017 preliminary injunction stand. So what does that mean for us? It means that public data on LinkedIn, candidate profiles, are being considered by the government as public domain. That means that it is virtually impossible, unless LinkedIn changes their entire business model and says that all profiles are private unless you have a paid account, which I think would make them collapse. They can't make it so that we can't tap into LinkedIn profiles that are publicly out there.
Something to keep in mind here is that this was through an appeals court, responding to the initial thing, and that whole 2 years later seems crazy if you only know the courtroom from courtroom dramas. And this is a normal time span. Trust us on this one. But there was a 3-0 decision by the appeals court, which means that they unanimously agree that this, which is really considered like a kind of a data scraping foundational case at this point, that the company in question, HighQ, did nothing wrong, and that the information out there is public. Now, this may have even impacts on other publicly held information and other attempts by companies to block data scraping in the long run.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and I don't know enough about how this works. I mean, LinkedIn as a company is absolutely running queries behind the scenes that are checking whether or not we as recruiters, or I'm sure salespeople, are using any type of electronic data scraping. And if they catch you with some type of electronic data scraping extension or software or plugin running, they shut down your LinkedIn profile. They shut down your account. And for those of you that have ended up in LinkedIn jail, boy, it's a pain in the neck to be there. You don't want to be there. You have to do all sorts of things to convince them that you're a real person and that you should have your account turned back on. But I think there's some interesting things, because LinkedIn can say, we're going to check for this software, and if you're running any of these data scraping softwares, we're going to kick you off the platform. It's their platform. They can do that. But at the same time, I am tickled with this ruling, because what it means is that LinkedIn cannot legally have any reason to come after Jason and I for teaching thousands of recruiters how to access all of the information on LinkedIn without having a recruiter or a navigator seat.
So think about this in terms of like downstream and other things. So something that you've probably seen a lot of, like if you have a product right now, you can hop onto Amazon and sell your product. And someone else can pick up your product and put their own little associate ID on there and earn a percentage from selling your product on their website. Well, that they could scrape looking for every business book or every business book about recruiting and put together a website that does all that automatically. That would have to be likewise protected. If you did that through anything that was an ad-based site, as far as like classifieds, Craigslist, for example, that would be protected. Like, because this general idea that if I have posted that information out there to be available publicly, I've done so knowingly, and it's user contributed as opposed to something that is publicly available but owned by the company, right? Because the user, the end user of LinkedIn, of course, is all of those individual profiles. They're choosing whether or not it's public, and they're choosing what content goes there, and HighQ can use that information just like anyone else on any other website could.
Right. I find it so interesting that what LinkedIn is going to do is fight to protect their members and the information they entrust. Really? Like LinkedIn, who turns around and tries to rape and pillage in the recruiting industry as much as they possibly can. But what they're doing is, protecting their members' information.
Well, I do appreciate that a company that's had several like password theft kind of scandals along the way is really going to fight to protect the information.
It'd be great if they did something with their data security, wouldn't it?
Sure.
Maybe they could spend that money to rework their platform. Anyway, so we just wanted to give you guys an update and explain to you what this means. Make sure that you're on top of it. We're celebrating here. This is a terrific win, I think, for our entire industry. So be thankful that HighQ is investing massive amounts of money in legal bills in order to protect their business model, which ultimately helps all of us. So thanks for taking a couple minutes with us. If you are a past student and you're interested in attending our Black Friday class, Jason will teach you how to do what he was talking about with Amazon, where you can actually add your own ID to things and get paid when you make recommendations. And if you have any interest in being able to see everybody on LinkedIn, regardless of who you're connected to, be able to search all of it from Google without having to pay for a navigator seat or a navigator seat or a recruiter seat, check out our upcoming class on October 21st, eSourcing Essentials Plus.
We are the plus.
Yeah, we are. All right, guys, thanks for joining us.
See you soon.